Well, after a moment of hilarity with Terry Wogan and Bruce there, I'm afraid the news is very bad from Brussels. Hooliganism has struck again, and I'm afraid the scenes are as bad as anything we've seen for a long, long time. People have been stretchered off. The Liverpool supporters took on the police at one point. It's not certain whether any lives have been lost at this moment. Joe Fagan, with obviously tremendous sympathy with what was going on in his last match for Liverpool, went on the pitch and appealed to the crowd, saying, you know, this is my last match, please behave yourselves. And it looks there as if they're getting some control of the scenes afterwards. I understood that a wall collapsed at one point, which was the origination of some of the trouble, and certainly the thing that may have caused those injuries. I'm not suggesting those injuries were caused or inflicted by crowds of either side. But you can see the police there. Such typical pictures, we're extremely used to them over here. And Peter Jones, the BBC football correspondent, said probably some of the worst scenes that he has seen at a football ground, which speaks for itself. But it does seem, with the kick-off in not all that many minutes' time now, if it should take place, as if they are restoring some kind of order. Well, what an unhappy start. Graham Souness and Terry Venables in Italy and Spain, respectively, being a little bit away from our hooliganism problem, but probably sad to see it still there, Terry.
Well, it's quite sickening. I mean, at a time when, certainly in Spain, I don't know about Italy, they have a tremendous respect now for British football. We are getting really to the front at last, after a long period of being off the scene. But when you mention this side of our game, the hooliganism, it's quite sickening to feel that people feel so bad about us all around Europe at a time when our football is becoming uppermost in our history for about at least for 10, 20 years.
Yeah. Well, I'm afraid these events have rather overtaken what we were going to do. I was going to congratulate you first, Graham, on last night's result for Scotland and ask you what you thought about the Joe Fagan business, but I'm afraid because of what's happened, we shall go straight now to Brussels and join John Motson.
Well, for the last 50 minutes, the Heysel Stadium in Brussels, the capital of Belgium, has been a sickening and bewildering sight. As a result, there is for certain serious injury when a wall collapsed, and maybe worse. I've seen at least 2 stretchers carried away, and the stretchers were covered from head to foot. To give you the evidence of my own eyes, the situation as I saw it, at the left end of the stadium were supporters of both Liverpool and Juventus. They were divided by 2 long poles in various sections, poles over which it was quite easy to climb, under which it was quite easy to move. And after a while, supporters of Liverpool moved into the Juventus area. For a while, there were some scuffles between the rival supporters, a great deal of the sort of threatening, animal, hate-like behavior which we've become all too accustomed to seeing at home. And then a lot of the Juventus supporters decided the time had come to move away, and they moved away with such pace and in such numbers. And in moving down towards the track that surrounds this ground here at the Heysel Stadium, a wall collapsed, and certainly there were people pinned underneath the wall. I should say it is quite a small wall of no more than about 4 feet in height, and there were a number of barriers in front of the wall and around the wall. So one can only hope that the injuries are not as serious as are being reported. There is no question there will be quite a delay before the start of the match. That's the wall I was talking about, which collapsed at the bottom of the terracing. The Juventus supporters came onto the running track and onto the pitch. We saw the riot police appear. We saw the mounted police. We saw scenes all too familiar. And I think those of us in this commentary box felt once again an embarrassment at being British. Because just to our right is the box of Rai, the Italian television company, who, like us, had come here to cover a football match between 2 of the great sides of Europe. And instead, their commentator was surrounded by tearful, hugely animated supporters of Juventus complaining to him about what had happened and trying to explain to him what we were all wanting to know. How can such things go on? There are the mass ranks of Liverpool supporters who have stayed in their own area. There are still others who, it has to be said, are standing in the area provided for Juventus. We can, of course, argue that the divide between the two should have been properly policed. Indeed, one might go further and say that the supporters of one team should have been at one ground and of the other team at the other. But I have to say that up to the point of the problems, the scene here reminded me very much of Rome in 1977, a sunny, balmy evening, just a slight breeze, everybody anticipating what we thought was going to be a great game. But how things have changed in those 8 years, because then the supporters of Liverpool were full of humour and played such a great part in the success of their side. This evening, I'm afraid, some of those supporters have disgraced the name of a great club. And that once again, the minority have dragged the majority down to be despised around the football grounds of Europe. That's the Juventus end. Their end has been quiet, except for the waving of flags and the usual chants and firecrackers. What we've seen at the other end has saddened the eye and really made us feel quite wretched. It's happening all too often. Sitting alongside me, Bobby Charlton, who saw not dissimilar scenes, Bobby, in Turin when England played there in the European Championship. You said then that you felt embarrassed, or maybe that wasn't the word you used, to be British. I wonder how you feel now.
Well, Barry, I think they've explained it as well as anyone possibly could. Sitting up here at the back of the stand in comparative safety, I still felt very, very frightened indeed, as anyone would be, to see such scenes. Unfortunately, I'm afraid that some people have been killed. It would appear that way. Immediately it became known, I think, even to the Liverpool supporters, that it was really serious. They started to calm down. They also had Joe Fagan, who came out and tried to calm them down, to tell them to go back to their original positions in the ground, and they've basically done that up to a point. But there again, I think, and I'm not trying to defend what happened, but certainly the section area which was supposed to divide the Juventus and the Liverpool fans was really flimsy. It was so flimsy it was ridiculous. But nevertheless, I think that maybe, and it's a horrible thing to say, but maybe it has needed something like this to maybe make people take notice and actually do something to make sure that it doesn't happen again. I think that it's a disgrace the way people behave when they come into a football match. It is supposed to be a recreation, they're supposed to enjoy it, and I don't think for a moment it should be anything other than a sporting occasion. How do you explain it? I really don't know. I mean, you don't know the type of mentality that would perform such acts. Nevertheless, it seems to be a little quieter now than it has been, certainly over this last hour, and for all the people that have been injured or have been fatally injured, I'm afraid, it has been a disastrous night, certainly from a humanitarian point of view. I hope that the game eventually does get going, but it certainly has a shadow over it.
I have to tell you that we have a report from the Brussels police which suggests that the death toll at the moment may be 15. The police are now making efforts to clear the pitch, and Bobby's reaction, I can tell you, as some of the fans still seem to want to be embroiled in fighting, I can tell you he's had to try and find the answer to many spectators who've come up to him in his seat in the stand alongside me to ask one of the great names of British football how he can explain it. And it is impossible to do so. I think these scenes that we're looking at, in fact, are a recording of the earlier problems. But as one does look at them, one cannot but feel that the time has come, indeed, if I can express a personal opinion, has long since passed, when we have to consider the majority. And if that means that we have to take some steps to prevent the minority coming abroad to drag the name of our country into the gutter, then we have to do it. Because it seems that nothing less than that will solve this problem. At least let us try and sort out the problem at home and not have to explain it to those abroad. We're looking there at Rick de Sadler, the commentator of BRT, the company who are producing the pictures for tonight's transmission. He is trying to explain it. People have come up and said to us, it's not normal. And it shouldn't be, but sadly it is becoming all too normal for our national game. Juventus supporters standing calmly, for the most part, waving flags. There were one or two involved in the scuttles and scuffles. One doesn't want to apportion blame. One can only say that it has happened too often involving British supporters to be thought to be coincidence. The pitch, at long last, is actually clear. The photographers who came to capture the goalmouth incidents have had to point their cameras to the crowds, as indeed have the television cameras. It's a lovely evening, absolutely ideal for a game of football. A meeting between two sides who have been so much at the top of the tree of European football. Liverpool trying to win the European Cup for the 5th time. Juventus having never previously won it, but with a chance this evening, if the match can take place, of becoming the first side ever to win all 3 European competitions. And what a sad occasion to mark the retirement of Joe Fagan, the manager of Liverpool for the last 2 seasons, who confirmed this afternoon that because he felt that he was perhaps a little old for the job at 64, and because he felt tired, that now had come the moment to hand over to a younger man. And we are told just on that point not to think in terms of a successor but of successors, with Kenny Dalglish very much the strong favourite to take over the role, with, one feels, a helping hand from somebody of experience in management. But very sad scenes, bewildering scenes, all too familiar scenes at the final of the European Cup. The 30th holding of this final has been marred before it starts. And from the Heysel Stadium in Brussels, let's go back to the quiet and Jimmy Hill in the studio.
Well, thank you, Barry. And if we can almost try and get our minds back to the game of football and Liverpool Football Club at the moment, may I ask, Graham, was it a surprise to you that Joe Fagan made that decision today?
Yes, I thought he was going to give it another year. I thought at the end of next year he would have called it a day. And I've said in the book I've just written that I thought Kenny Dalglish would have a chance to get in the job. This year, I don't know if I think it might be a wee bit early for Kenny. Maybe Barry's right in saying that someone else, along with Kenny, will be doing it. But I think it's a bit early for Kenny to be doing it himself.
You know, you're about not quite the same position as Kenny, but almost. And would you think it's possible to take over a club of that size coming straight off the field?
No, I don't think so. No, I think you'd need someone alongside of him. But of course, there's Ronnie Moran and Roy Evans there who. I've been there a lot of years, and maybe one of those could help him, but I think they may bring someone in from the outside.
Maybe Bob Paisley could return even for a year or so.
Possibly. I think Joe has definitely had enough. If he said that's it, that's it. And I know the old boss misses it very much, but whether he could be persuaded to come back into it, I don't know. He certainly, they couldn't get anyone better than him to help Kenny on his way, could they?
Mm. Terry, you've been mentioned with most of the clubs in Europe. They haven't linked you yet with Liverpool?
No, they haven't, Jim. No,
no possibilities there, of course?
No.
What do you think about a player like Kenny coming off the field and doing a job like that as a manager?
I think personally it's too difficult at the very top end of the game. I think that...
Well, still the struggle here at the Heysel Stadium continues to get the situation in order so that we can watch a game of football. That's the terrace at the left end, which an hour and more ago was occupied by supporters of Juventus, with the main Liverpool body to the right. Down in front now the main stand and the home straight of stadium, famous of course also for athletics as well as for football. They hold the Ivo van Dam Memorial meeting here. And talking of meetings at this precise moment, UEFA, who are responsible of course for all the European competitions, are meeting to decide what to do. We hear that paratroopers from the Belgian army have been sent for. The figure of those who are feared to have died is still at 15, and it appears that the idea of bringing in members of the army is because obviously the spectators at the Juventus end are not aware, indeed, that there have been any fatalities, and obviously we don't know either whether the fatalities are from those who travelled out from England or those who made their way from Italy, or indeed those who gained tickets in this capital. Officially there were 14,500 tickets for each club, and the crowd limited to 52,000 here in the stadium. But they're the majority, and let us stress this point, the majority of Liverpool supporters standing quite calmly, coming to support their team on its way to winning the European Cup for the 5th time. But they, like we, wait to see the outcome, hear the outcome rather, of the UEFA meeting. So back to you, Jim.
Well, we don't know quite as now. You see, it's still going on. I mean, it just doesn't abate. Throwing stones, just the same kind of appalling action that we saw. You remember Luton and Millwall? You wouldn't have seen that.
No, I haven't seen that, no.
No, yeah, the police seeming powerless to stop it, and as if they have some kind of. They want to inflict punishment on football.
It doesn't happen anywhere else in Europe. Okay, it happens elsewhere in Europe, but not on a regular basis, not to the same extent as we have it here.
Do you think that's because the police are more severe? Terry, in Spain, you were saying that.
They're just frightened out of their life. They just can't do it. And if there was just one incident, it's nipped in the bud, you see, but we've not nipped it in the bud, and it's got bigger, and it's got bigger until, as what we're talking about, it's got completely out of control. And now it is a hell of a problem to solve it.
Yeah.
But it's the fear factor is the thing. Anywhere in Europe, they're frightened out of the life of the police. And the police hands seem to be tied here.
Yeah. Are the police as severe in Italy?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same situation. If they do it, I mean, there's the Juventus players on the track. They just nip it in the bud. I mean, if someone steps out of line, they get punished right away.
Yeah. And they're too frightened to do it again.
It looks
that's
as
Cabrini.
if
That's Cabrini.
Yeah, that's Cabrini, and it looks as if the Juventus players are appealing to the fans to just calm down and enable them to get the match played, because one wonders what would happen now if the match was put off, because then you have another problem. The people having travelled all that way.
I think the fact that they've sent for paratroopers suggests that they're, I mean, to me anyway, maybe they're not going to play it. I mean, maybe they're going to try and keep one set of supporters in the ground, let the other go home. But you're going to have the same problem in the city tonight, when they play it or if they don't play it. After the game, both sets of supporters are going to be in the city after the game.
So it is virtually an impossible situation, really, for anybody to decide what is the right course of action. In fact, whatever is done is going to appear to be wrong.
That's right.
The Red Cross at the stadium say that 30 killed and 100 are seriously injured in hospital. With so much trouble, it doesn't seem feasible, really, for players to come out and play a game in that atmosphere.
It's a game of football. I mean,
Graham's just saying about parents worrying if their sons are okay. It's almost like you're talking about them going off to war.
I mean, that's what's come to them when our teams go to Europe now. But once again, it's a minority, and so many innocent people get caught up in it.
I think Barry Davis played it very well. It's a severe embarrassment for everyone, and now it's gone beyond that. It's a tragic. Now it's tragic. Now it's tragic.
Would you recommend, I mean, I know it would mean a change of law, and so many of these things do depend on the way the government reacts to it, the taking away of passports in circumstances like this of people who have been proved to be guilty?
I'd like to do more than that, Jim. I think I just feel absolutely...
But that step hasn't even been taken. I mean, those that came back from Finland, was it, were suspended from 5 years for going to Finland, which is not very much of a punishment, is it, in those circumstances? Although 100 were put in jail over there, that was the last time out. Do you think the passport thing could be a deterrent?
But you're talking about, now we're talking about people being killed tonight. Now we've got to say beforehand that if people are going to get caught for doing that, and we've got video cameras, we can catch them, the mother can't say my Jimmy wouldn't do it, because we can say, look, your Jimmy's just beating hell out of little Johnny there, and it's on the, and he's got to go away for 10 years or whatever. That's going to stop them. They won't do it again, and it's fear is the key. You've got to frighten them, because now we're talking about passports if it was nipping it in the bud. We're now talking about a severe major problem, and it is quite sickening, obviously, to everybody that's watching these pictures here this evening.
Well, I always felt that they continue to do it because they get away with it unpunished, and the Cambridge justice seemed to be the first time really that they were really dealt with in a severe way.
Then again, people were shocked by that.
The fact that they were punished so severely.
But there's no fear in anything hardly, is there? They're not frightened of the policemen anymore. And I feel sorry for the policemen in some respects. They don't get a chance to sort it out, and it's got to be sorted out.
I mean, the police catch them. They're doing the job, and then they go to court, and then you get these
That's
magistrates give them 25 quid fines.
Exactly.
So you would like to see the sort of punishment
severe as it can possibly be. It can't be severe enough, because that now is past anything else I've ever seen. And I haven't got the words to explain how I feel tonight, and I'm sure everybody feels the same.
We came here to talk about a game of football.
Yeah, we kept talking about lovely things about the game, and all of a sudden we're faced with this terrible thing.
It's taking some people's lives away from them and destroying the livelihood of others, because it's your profession in a way, and it's the profession of a lot of people in this country.
People say, well, it's easy for Terry and I to talk about English teams or British teams being banned from Europe because we're no longer involved with British teams, but I see that as the only answer. I mean, and the way the game is in England today, the teams just can't afford to do without European football because there's so much money involved. But I think that's what it's going to come to, Jimmy. I can't see another way out of it.
In fact, through being out of England, you probably see it in some ways more clearly. You get it in perspective.
Terry's in Spain, I'm in Italy. I mean, there's no one. They're fanatics the same as our supporters are. I mean, in a different way. They're more inclined to outshout each other or have a bigger flag than other supporters. They don't want to be tearing each other's heads off like our supporters seem to want to do.
They have announced, that is the announcement saying that the game will commence, but we're not sure at what time it will commence. I think what they're going to do is to get absolute control of the crowd and then attempt to play the match. But it is an awful task to try and turn your mind back to a game of football. I find it so, sitting here.
Well, it's just we're all shocked, and we might be saying the right things or the wrong things. There's people out there have got to make fast decisions who are not really perhaps ready for it, even though you should always when there's a British team involved. And yet, as you said earlier, whatever decision they make now, it's going to be wrong, because Graham says they're going to worry about what's going to happen in the city. In a beautiful place like Brussels, they're going to be terrified.
So you wonder what the response will be when the supporters, and sooner or later, before the game finishes, they'll find out that people have died. Now you wonder what's going to happen then. I mean, they can go one of two ways. They can even become more hostile and more violent, or they take the correct way out and behave like human beings. I mean, that's open for argument again.
Quite a few people suggest that it's sometimes the fault of players on the field, but of course this match hasn't started. But it does put an enormous amount of pressure on those players if the game does start. They've got to compete. They weren't going out there in gentle fashion to win this match, either of them, and neither should they really at this stage of the competition.
That's
so
right.
They're under extra pressure now, Terry.
Yes, they are. It'd be interesting to know what would you say, Graham, that Joe Fagan, knowing the sort of bloke he was, what would he be saying now to the team?
Well, I think they'll try and keep the fact that people have died away from them, because I know the lads, and that would worry them. I'm not saying that because of they're friends of mine, but I know it would worry them. I'm sure it would worry the Juventus players as well, so they'll be trying to keep that away from them. The dressing room, they'll be laughing and joking in there. But, it's just taking so much away from the game.
I'm sure if we find it difficult to talk about it over those pictures because of shame and sadness and all kind of other emotions, a player would find it extremely difficult to produce his best under those conditions.
He certainly would feel that before the game starts. I think once the game starts, I think that you'd get into the game and they'd be worried again about it afterwards. But I think once the game goes, you'll see a game very close to what we would have seen normally. But
Yeah.
Also bearing in mind that Graham said that they might keep this information away from the teams anyway.
Yeah. It doesn't seem, and I think we should make this clear, that the injuries and deaths were a result of direct fighting, but of the wall collapsing.
Well, we don't know, do we?
No, we don't know, but it does seem that. But of course it is the aggression that brings about a situation where a wall does collapse.
That's right.
Well, let's go back to Brussels and get an up-to-date report now from Barry Davis.
Well, Jimmy, we're seeing pictures of the start of the whole problem. These are recorded pictures as some Liverpool supporters moved into the Juventus area. You can see the Juventus supporters trying to get over the wall to our right. Some of them are moving away at the top of the picture and down towards the running track. And it was the pressure of movement down towards the running track which resulted in the wall giving way and people being pinned underneath it. Just look at one or two of these faces. They're faces of fear, frightened people who just don't understand what has happened. And really, there's such an overwhelming feeling here, sitting in the stand, watching these pictures from earlier, looking at the stadium now, a feeling of total helplessness, a feeling of sympathy for those who've been killed and injured, a sympathy for people who love to watch their sport, a sympathy for the game of football, which was one of those things to unite people, which is now in an extraordinary way become amongst a minority, some sort of substitute for war. That people go to watch football matches to defend their ground, to stand up for their team. I mean, I heard Jimmy refer earlier to the Luton Millwall situation. That was all the results of territory being defended and of what had happened at another London ground a few weeks earlier. It had nothing to do with the cup tie itself, I don't believe, at Luton. And this is just a scene of total mayhem that resulted from people deciding that it was important to them to invade the opposition territory. And as a result of that attitude, that anger, that demand to be seen to be the tough guys, and whatever you want to call them, 28 people, we're now told, are dead, and many others are injured and being taken to hospital, and presumably some of those injured are in a serious state. We've been told that the match will go on, and I really don't think UEFA had any other choice. I mean, there are people waiting in this ground, and the one thing that can take away the mind, if only briefly, from the incidents that we've seen, from the injured and the overwhelming sympathy, as I said, for those who have died. For the moment, at least, football will, we hope, become a unifying bond. And there is an enormous responsibility on the players now, if they possibly can, to put it out of their mind and to make it an attractive game and to try and show that they believe, as the majority believe, that football is one of the most beautiful and simple games and has been all around the world. And now suddenly it's been besmirched because of an attitude which a decade and more ago was totally foreign to the British character, but which now has grown until it is a cancer on society. These are still recordings of the scenes earlier, and looking down at the wall that gave way, and the people who sought refuge in the only place they could go to, which in the present climate of debate at home, it should once again be said that the fact that there were fences that could be got through and people got onto the pitch, that perhaps saved even greater injury. Still, the policemen on horseback are on the main running track. Let me emphasize again, this is not a continuing battle. These are pictures that we are seeing, recorded pictures of the incidents which led to the trouble and the result of that trouble. At one end of the ground, as I look now, we have mounted police. On the home straight by the stand, we have mounted police, but in riot uniform. And one has to say that the policemen at the Juventus end are conspicuous by their absence. It's a lovely, lovely still summer's evening, but one which will be remembered for all the wrong reasons and by those whose family has suffered from it. It will be an evening that will never be forgotten. There will be people here who will never go and watch a football match again, and there will be people watching these scenes who will say, I don't want to go and watch a football match. But it is not football's problem. Football is the scene which has been used because it is such a popular and the national game. Photographers still getting their shots. It's a sad story, Jim, but I just hope that we will have a football match here shortly, and it does seem as though, as every second goes by, the chances of that are improving.
Well, thank you, Barry.
Really just join in there, and I agree 100% with what Terry says. I don't think for a moment that they'll bring back national service, certainly. But I do feel that youngsters these days have to be frightened of something. They have to respect something. If you fine them, they don't seem to be able to pay the fines, and they share it. If you put them in jail or a detention centre, they don't appear to be any worse off than some of them were before anyway. But I think that the only thing that you have to do is to try and actually implant in the minds before they even think about it, that it's not going to be worth doing it because the punishment is too harsh. There's lots and lots of people, myself included, think that a form of corporal punishment should come back because that is the one thing that you can't pass on to anyone else. When you see all these young lads that are just completely undisciplined, they just lose all sense of direction and discipline altogether, then it makes you think then somewhere along the line they have to be afraid of something, so that if they do it, that they're going to think twice. I do think that it's a tragedy, this, for our game, and I do think, like Terry, you know, that the government have to take the bull by the horns, and they have to make some proper legislation to make sure that the appropriate people are punished accordingly. I do think that it's gone too far now, and this probably is the end of the line as far as we are concerned, and I think we've got to be prepared for whatever punishment UEFA or FIFA decide that we deserve. And I can't say really that we deserve to be treated lightly.
Just to bring you up to date with the position, the announcement that the game would take place came over the public address system, but it appears to have been an attempt to keep quiet in the stadium, which is now in a somewhat unreal calm, but there has not as yet been an official decision made by UEFA. So we still wait to know. One or two supporters at the far end, although in the stands they're very quiet. One or two supporters at the far end waving flags. The public address still appealing for calm and for patience. But we still have not heard officially from the governing body that the match will take place. One spectator prepared to take an extremely precarious position. The massed ranks of Liverpool supporters, and one remembers the piece which Bob Wilson did in Sports Night, in which Phil Neal, who had hoped to be the fourth captain to collect the European Cup here tonight, was saying that they being the team, owed everything to their supporters. And one can remember back to 1977, when the European Cup was first won, indeed the start of the domination of the event by Football League clubs, that supporters were allowed by Bob Paisley to join in the banquet afterwards. There was such a rapport between players and supporters, and nobody ever gave any thought that there would be any problems. But I think that maybe we've seen that the humour with which the Kop and Anfield was always associated has not quite been maintained in recent years. We never used to have chants there of obscene language, but we do now. And maybe one or two of that minority have been in the van of causing the problems here tonight. If you've just switched on and wonder why there's no football, it is that it's been impossible for the match to take place because of problems in the crowd, which resulted in the collapse of a wall because of pressure of people. There were a number of injured, and the latest report is that 28 people have lost their lives. 30th European Cup still waits to be covered by television around the world. 80 television stations were prepared to report this match, and instead they are reporting scenes which does nothing for the feelings of mankind, if I can put it that way. Still, there are expressions on people's faces that suggest something which is impossible to define, because they still want to get out and fight in spite of all the problems. To appeal to supporters. But still, Jimmy, like you, we wait, and we wait with feelings of great sadness.
I expect you at home were as
Will take place. They've not told us yet when they anticipate the kickoff will be, but they have decided the match will take place, and I understand that the greatest factor in their decision was the crowd and the reaction that the crowd might take if the match was abandoned. They felt that it was much the best thing that the European Cup final should take place in spite of all the scenes that have preceded it. Still spectators wait. We've had one or two small fires from flags that were burned. Juventus so often seem to have their supporters in the shirts of their team, known as the Zebras, and that's the scene at the other end. The Liverpool supporters, and I think amongst that number there to the right, certainly there are true supporters who came to watch the game of football. They wait in the stands, where we've had the former manager of the French national team, Michel Ilago, has been up in the stand. Everybody's opinion has been asked as to why it happened and what could be done about it. David Lacey of The Guardian at the top of the picture there, one of the many journalists giving their story to London. David Miller of The Times in the centre of the picture. And journalists, Jeff Powell of the Daily Mail with a rather fuzzy hair, journalists who, like the rest of us, have written and said many words on the problem of what has become known as football hooliganism, but which might more accurately be said to be hooliganism at football matches. And now they've got to find words again, as you in the studio and those of us looking down on this unhappy scene have been trying to do. Bear in mind that really it's over an hour that we've been looking at scenes like this, well over an hour. Still the police wait. If the paratroopers have been brought in, they're rightly conspicuous, although I suspect that gentleman with a berry might have something to do with that, but I'm only... Police ringed all around the ground, and that will bring memories of a very long time ago, of Wembley in 1923, when the match was played with human walls. But what a different attitude amongst people was to be found then. And I think the delay has been, in fact, to give time for these reinforcements to come from the centre of Brussels, to make sure that there will be no further problems at the stadium. many of these will be working late into the night to ensure peace, and will be very happy when the other nationalities have departed the land of Belgium. All the police taking positions at the Liverpool end. Well, as you can imagine, in these circumstances, the place is rife with rumour. And there are now doubts being expressed as to whether or not the announcement that the game would go ahead was to allow time for the reinforcements to arrive. We can only update you as we are informed from our position in the middle of the stand. All the dignitaries from UEFA and the two clubs are out of sight, away from the position where they had expected to be taking their seats to watch the match. And great discussions must be going on there. Remembering that the Liverpool chairman, Mr. John Smith, is now the new chairman of the Sports Council, so has a position of great authority, and is a man of great authority. And we are now finding the ground is being slowly but surely encircled by riot police. And the latest information is that the match will go ahead, but they are waiting until the proper number of police are in the ground to ensure that it can take place without further problem. I understand that there is now an emergency number for people to ring at home who may fear that they have somebody who might have been involved in injuries, and that number we will give you as soon as we possibly can. Still the police take their place. Those on horseback are still at the left-hand end only. Night is getting a little colder. I'm happy to say that's also the atmosphere in the crowd. And the patience of the true supporters has been an important factor in this, to help the police to re-establish calm. But obviously we don't know how many people in the crowd know just how serious the problems have been. Seen at the back of the terraces by the scoreboard. I don't quite understand why, with the same number of tickets given to both sets of supporters.
Just praying for a game of football.
Maybe it'd be better if they got the game started and maybe take their minds off it. I mean, no, it's just... look at them.
Apparently,
It's as if that's a no-go area for the police.
Phil Neal has come out of the dressing room, had a quick look round the terraces and gone back in, maybe to assess the situation. You see, if the police have no control, of course, there may come a point, if they're that violent, where the players are in danger. I mean, if reason has gone out of the window entirely and the police haven't got control, you see that the policy of the police seems to be containment there rather than arrest or punishment. Does it not?
That's right.
Now, I can't understand that, because it wouldn't happen in Spain, Terry, would it? They would be in among them, sort the lot out, and they'd be in vans off to prison.
That's right. But that is... But there, I mean, straight away, I mean...
Now, look.
Yeah, they just let them do what they want.
You see, why are they allowing them
Look.
to do that? There are enough police there to capture at least those 3 or 4 and take them away.
They're Italians.
Yeah, I know they're Italians, but I mean, whoever they are, there's a total disregard for law and order of any kind, with a death roll at the moment, as we understand, standing at 35.
But it doesn't look like they're going to do anything about it, so it's not as a matter of taking the trouble areas away and then getting on with the game. They're waiting for it to fizzle down, and it's just not going to, by the looks of it there.
Yeah. You see, well, they didn't suddenly come there and paint that on. They came there with that provocative banner without any doubt. And it's so, you know, while they're looking to Liverpool supporters, who obviously, many of whom, not supporters, shall we say, but Liverpool's followers, who are guilty, there's no question that Juventus fans too have a touch of the hooligan brush. Because that's provocative. That's not a peaceful banner in any sense.
That's right.
But we said that at the beginning, I mean, it's a minority, and
Look at that, I mean, it's still, you couldn't wish for a more peaceful area, could you, than that?
and it's unfortunate because they'll be mixed up with Italians. And,
Yes.
I mean,
The business of the masks, again, is to be able to get away with it. You know, in other words, as you say, like, or Barry mentioned the word bandits or whatever, but again, to disguise their faces so that they can't be recognised because they want to go in and do the damage, and then get off scot-free.
They're doing Liverpool's cause a big favour there by showing that flag, because it obviously proves it's not down to Liverpool or solely Liverpool.
Well, it is an extremely sad situation, and at the moment it does look as if, more than anything else, a decision of some kind is necessary. I don't think it's in anyone's interest just to keep the thing going for this length of time.
And you certainly don't want to really see this, because this is all that is promoting other people to want to do the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be people sitting at home thinking this is great viewing.
I cannot understand how it is that they are allowed to get away with that in such small groups. But there you are. Perhaps we will have some information from various police forces throughout the world as to why that can happen, why they are allowed to get away with it and abuse society in that particular way. I know...
And it must be terrible for the people wearing their colours that have behaved. You know, we feel bad enough here, but to actually be there, wearing your colours, knowing what's happened, I mean, that must be a very, very sad thing.
Last year in Rome, after the game, the Liverpool supporters had a terrible time of the supporters of Rome and the police in Rome, and you just wonder, you know, if they've gone there this time, they're nearly going to say something, I think.
So it's not only a British problem, although you say, I mean, does it happen in Italy regularly, or does it not? Yes, you can see Phil Neal there. Well, you've probably heard the voice of Phil Neal there, and you can see the police are taking action at last, but for news of that announcement and what it may mean for the rest of the evening, let's join Barry again.
Well, here is Gaetano Scirea, the captain of Juventus, making a similar announcement to that of Phil Neal. And applauded at both ends of the ground, and saying in his own language the same as Phil Neal had said: we want to play for you, we want to perform, stop behaving as you're behaving, and we will come out to play. But sadly, the problem which started at the left-hand end is now getting a reply at the right-hand end, when we are seeing nothing more or less than street fighting. Fighting between young supporters from Italy, although some of them have Liverpool scarves, who are baiting the police. I must say that both Scirea and Phil Neal deserving of great credit. Very simple expression by the Liverpool captain. And I know the players will be absolutely sickened by what is happening, the implications for the future of their club and for the game. And it seems, as you were saying, Jimmy, that the police are ill-prepared to take positive action for fear of starting a reaction at one end to what's happening at the other. Phil again making his way. The police understandably are preventing movement from anywhere in the ground. It's impossible whether it is inspired by a more frightening backdrop. Again, the St. John's ambulance men to the rescue. You can only assume that this was caused by a missile being thrown from the crowd. Another announcement being made in Italian. And it's actually to the Italians that the words of reprimand and rule now apply. Obviously senior members of the Belgian police force here. But things are totally quiet at the left-hand end, which is now totally the Liverpool end. There isn't a Juventus supporter in sight at that end. And the Liverpool team appear. And all credit to them. Phil Neal and his colleagues are making their own attempt to restore sanity. But still at the right-hand end there is a threat. The police again staying their ground, and no sign yet of players from Juventus. But now here they come. Still things being hurled from the terraces, cans and whatever a hand can be laid on. And although Bonini led out the Italian team to a scene which is now returning to a football match, Scirea, the official captain, is now in his place. But there are still considerable problems at the Italian end of the ground. All the officials tonight come from Switzerland, but they don't care who comes from anywhere. They're just going to cause trouble, and finally the police have decided they have to get among the crowd. Fence has been broken at that end. And the public address announcer reading through the Juventus team. Team photograph of the holders of the European Cup, Liverpool. And what a contrast it is between looking at footballers and looking at scenes of trouble on the terraces and the police. That's the Juventus lineup, showing only one change, in fact, from the team that beat Liverpool in the Super Cup, the return of Tacconi in goal. And the match at the moment is 1 hour and 25 minutes late as the coin is finally tossed between the two captains. And I would imagine the teams are going to stay as they are at the kick-in. Liverpool have had their worries about Walsh's stomach muscles, Lawrenson's right shoulder, and Ian Rush's right hand. But Joe Fagan's last choice is the team that he wanted. 3 new to European Cup finals: Beglin, Walsh and John Wall. The referee, a former professional footballer, indeed at international level, Andre Dena, who also has a degree in chemistry and is a director of a concrete firm, a cement making firm. So the match will begin with fires on the terraces, with policemen in riot gear poised to stop any problem at its start. And in fact the teams have changed ends. So Liverpool defending the goal to our right. Still the fires to put out. And can the players now produce a quality of football to at least make us, for the next hour and a half, dismiss as far as is possible from our minds the scenes which preceded this 30th final of the European Champions Cup. It's Mark Lawrenson for Liverpool and Phil Neal, the captain, who has shown himself to be a leader of men off the field as well as on. The ground is ringed by policemen, and to our right there is a rather larger group defending a hole in the terraces. Good challenge by Lawrenson. And Cabrini coming up for the throw. First touch, I think, for Platini, but he was well surrounded. Rush. Paul Walsh still feeling the stomach muscle problem. Lawrenson. Oh, he had to hurry a bit, in fact, needed the help from Alan Hansen. Bruce Grobbelaar does well to save the corner. Liverpool with the chance to make the trophy their own. 5 victories will give them the cup. And Juventus with the chance to become the first side to win all 3 European competitions: the Champions Cup, the Cup Winners' Cup and the UEFA Cup. They won the Cup Winners' Cup last year and the UEFA Cup back in 1977. Free kick to Liverpool. And I have a feeling that Mark Lawrenson has hurt his shoulder again as he went into that challenge And I think we're going to have an early substitution. He's played for just over 2 minutes, and he's going to be replaced. The right shoulder, he fell awkwardly, and he comes off looking a very sorrowful figure. And on the field comes Gary Gillespie. Liverpool using one of their 2 allowed substitutes already. Going off with Roy Evans. Evans, one of the backroom boys, obviously affected by the decision of Joe Fagan that this is his last match in charge. Here's Boniek. Gillespie's first challenge. Dalglish tonight playing in midfield with Rush and Walsh forward. And Walsh has gone too far forward and is offside. Stefano Tacconi. Got his place back. And up front he has 2 men. One of them Rossi. And Juventus in their 2 defeats in the European Cup final. Conceded a goal inside the first 10 minutes and never recovered from that fact. Rossi. A little theatrical, but there was a trip. The acting came from Cabrini. Platini's first free kick, but not in a dangerous position. Here's Boniek. Marco Tardelli. Offside against Platini. Frenchman well offside. Twice the European Footballer of the Year, and certainly the key to his own side's future in this contest. And possibly the key to the whole match. It's Alan Hansen. Played in 3 of the previous 4. Phil Neal, the only player to have played in all 4 previous European Cup finals for Liverpool going back to 1977. Scored in 2 of them too. On by Rush, away by Brio. Whelan. Feeling is understandably all a little unreal. Dalglish. Away by Cabrini. Rossi to Bonini. Offside. In fact, as you would have observed, it was Rossi forward. And so far, the marking of the players up front. Brio is marking Rush, and Favreau is marking Walsh. Here they are, 2 last mentioned, and the free kick against Favreau. Duray wears number 6 and plays at as the spare man at the back for both his club and his country. And he captains both of them. Weeder leaves it to Jim Beglin, and the flag is up for offside. Steve Nicol. Nicol came on as a substitute in the final in Rome 12 months ago, and then missed the first penalty of the competition, but he was rescued. Dalglish. Walsh. Grieski and Rossi forward, Cabrini in possession. Bonini. And the whistle has gone. And the first signs of a real contest on the football field between Dalglish and Bonini. Here's Platini, looking to get Rossi away. Beglin kept Alan Kennedy out of the side. Kennedy, who's been unfit and only played 1 in the last 8 matches, but he was fit and available for selection, but Joe Fagan staying with Beglin. Rush, you notice, with a plaster on his right hand. And that as the result of getting in the way of a shot from Kenny Dalglish in practice, and I think there may well be a bone broken. Certainly it's caused him a lot of pain and cost him a bit of sleep. Neal with the free kick. Walk looking to get up. Shirea does. But there was a push, says the Swiss referee. Tardelli, one of the internationals on the field. Bonini is not so because he likes to keep his citizenship of San Marino. Favreau. Rossi, Boniek. Good challenge by Gillespie. Boniek going out to the left. Breaski coming in the inside right position is Tardelli. Just a little bit too long for him to have any real chance of getting control. Liverpool's 21st consecutive season in Europe. For the record, it's Juventus' 22nd. Liverpool have been hugely the more successful. This is Bonini. No question of a trip by an opponent, he tripped over himself. Walsh trying to pull Favreau away. Hansen. And Breer allowing him to turn. And giving the ball away to Nicol for a moment at least, and Platini then claimed it. Tardelli. Rossi. Working hard to lose Beglin, but hasn't succeeded. Platini. Tardelli. Past the 10-minute mark, no score. Gillespie. Walsh comes short, then tries to go away. Gillespie rather lost concentration. And at least this time Juventus have survived conceding an early goal. They did so against Ajax in '73, and they did so against Hamburg in '83. It proved to be the only goal of the match on both occasions. Dalglish. Oh. Free kick against Tardelli. No attempt to get the ball, just to block the man. Walsh has taken a position just inside the 18-yard area, centrally placed. Walsh is between him and the kicker, Ronnie Whelan. Three making the run now, two on the far side. Gillespie is the furthest over. Beglin could change the angle and does. Only to Platini. One member of the police force showing a certain ability at the football and inadvertently helped Liverpool as a result. That's good play. It's a goal kick.
Well, with Mark Lawrenson having gone off with a damaged shoulder, it leaves Liverpool a little bit short at the back as far as pace is concerned, especially when you think that Platini is sending very long balls up for Briaschi and Paolo Rossi. Very, very fast forwards. Nevertheless, the strain seems to have relaxed a little bit after this first few minutes, and now we have a football match rather than the terrible situation we started with.
And this time Tardelli is the innocent man. Taken early by Platini, looking for Cabrini. Walsh stayed onside. Rush is moving towards the middle. Cabrini away for the Italians. 3 forward, Boniek starts his run. Boniek not only a player of great pace, but his timing of the run is often so exquisite and so damaging to defenders who suddenly find a man running past them, staying onside and looking for the through ball. Platini often the supplier, but unable to find Tardelli there. Tardelli thought to be moving from Juventus at the end of the season and going to Fiorentina. Suggested there would be a bit of a break-up in the Italian team. Handball. It's Whelan. And Brio starting to come forward, and the first shots of Juve. Grobel are poised. Most of the threat is coming on his right-hand post, although Boniek goes first. Platini gets up, away by Gillespie, only to Scirea. Cabrini. And away by Beglin. Rush holding his right arm somewhat awkwardly. Darvish and Briaski, who's been doubtful with a knee injury, didn't seem too happy in that challenge. Darvish. Darvish looking for what would be his 21st goal in his 80th European match. Platini. Cabrini. And the free kick given, although Rossi was always falling. And he turned into Neil. Platini. Boniek. Platini. Well played by Alan Hansen. Nice to see Alan Hansen leading a counter. If he played for an Italian team, he'd be an excellent libero. He has the ability to come forward from the back as the spare defender. Here's Rush. Dalglish. Possible shooting chance, didn't seem to want it. Walk. He did. It's a goal kick. The first real goal attempt coming precisely on the 15-minute mark. Favaro. Nickel. If you intended that, it suddenly created a lot of space. This is Neil. 4 waiting. Well claimed. Tardelli. (31 in September). Played 78 times for Italy. And the Swiss referee being very precise as to where he wants the throw to be taken. Boniek gets away with it. It's a little dangerous. Got Cabrini available. Rossi, Briaski and Platini all forward. Platini coming to take over. And Boniek continued the run and ran straight into Neil. Tardelli. Platini. Bonini. Looking for the return. Hansen was between the two. And a slight gesturing and waving of arms by Boniek and Alan Hansen. Brio. Not the best of challenges by Ronnie Whelan. Shireen. I'm happy to report that there is calm all around the ground. The riot police with the goal to our right have been able to withdraw and sit down, and indeed some of them at least are watching the match. And they're watching Bonini. Offside against Rossi. Hansen. 2 up, 4 in midfield for Liverpool. Gillespie. Neal. Hansen. Very much the European pace of football. Nickel. Walsh. Teasing Favreau a bit. Brio's header. Neal and Walsh not reading each other's mind. Boniek wants obstruction for that. It's quite unbelievable. Pole, incidentally, who leaves here after the match and is being flown by a private jet, played by Mr. Agnelli, who is the backer of Juventus. And he's flying to Pisa and on eventually to play for Poland in the World Cup in Albania tomorrow. Rush. Nickel. Walsh trying to get walked through. And here's Steve Nickel. Ronnie Whelan unmarked on the far post. And he's pulling away. The cross was a disappointing one. Cabrini couldn't keep it in. Certainly, I think it's fair to say that there are good signs that both sides are prepared to go out on attack. Too many European finals have been decided by the only goal in recent years. Good play by Walsh, good try too. So much wanted to play in this match. And thought on Monday that his chance had gone because of his stomach muscle injury. Platini. Boniek. Tardelli. Briaski. Signed from Genoa last summer, cost £1.2 million. It's the highest in the transfer merry-go-round that happens each summer in Italy. It's Boniek. He'll be involved this time. Looking for the return from Platini. Good play by Steve Nickel. Nickel and Cabrini. And a bit of pushing by Antonio Cabrini. Neal to take the free kick. Walsh and Rush on the edge of the box. Changing positions but not markers. Tardelli. And that's a Liverpool corner. Kenny Dalglish to take the first corner of the contest. Nickel has come across to the near post. Gillespie is up as well. Another corner off Favreau. Walsh putting away to the far post. Rush has come further across. Gillespie, good claim again. Although he lost it for a second. I think he was fouled, the goalkeeper. But he was very positive in coming for the ball. Well, we're halfway through the first half. No score. And if you've joined us late, the match kicked off very late because of problems in the crowd, which resulted, I'm sorry to say, in death and injury. Players finally coming onto the pitch to try and lift a very sad occasion. Kick-off was delayed for 1.5 hours. Here's Bonini to Tardelli, to Boniek. All a little bunched, and there were 2 players offside for Juventus. Rush. Turning comfortably away from Brio, and there are certain areas of the field where Brio is quite happy to let him turn and go away. Whelan, and Brio forced to come and collect him and concede a free kick. Five Liverpool players in the area of the far post. Rush moving further away to make the 5th, and then changes his mind, comes the other way. It was marked then by Tardelli. Agrees to take it. Trying obviously for the top corner.
Well, I must say that when I first saw the pace of the front runners of Juventus, I was particularly worried because it was quite ominous. But nevertheless, as the game has worn on, I've found that Paul Walsh and Ian Rush have found lots and lots of time to collect the ball, and they are very, very tightly marked. Walsh in particular seems particularly confident and is enjoying this match.
Rossi pushes out to Jim Beglin. Hansen. Tardelli. Platini. Looking for the return. And Rossi was waiting for the bounce. Free kick was given, but taken from 10 yards further forward. Frenchman Michel Platini makes an observation which presumably a Swiss would have understood. Seems to me that most Swiss can speak at least 3 languages, and a 4th that nobody can understand, called Swiss German. Tardelli will take the kick from the proper place, and Walsh makes a rather untidy and unnecessary challenge on the captain of France. He takes the kick from about 4 yards further forward this time. Tardelli. And Dalglish to tidy up. And Platini none the worse for wear, but Bruce Grobbel are waiting to be sure of that fact. Walsh, Nickel, Neal. And Walsh adjudged to have moved too soon. Juventus coming through to the final by beating Yves Tampere of Finland. 6-1 on aggregate, obviously getting 3 in the first game. 6-2 against Grasshoppers of Zurich, 3-1 against Sparta Prague. They won 3-0 at home and lost away. And then 3-2 against the French champions Bordeaux, winning 3-0 at home and getting through with a bit of a scrape away where they lost 2-0. Brio, Tardelli, Neal, always available if he sees an attacking possibility. Here's John Walk, a bit more room behind him than he realised. Dalglish trying to chip a goalkeeper who'd started to move forward, but a man considered as being the favourite as the future manager of Liverpool has not found his touch yet from free kicks and chips. Darvish. Sure, incidentally, that an announcement will be made on Friday about the management position. Tardelli starting to pinch a few yards, and Mr. Dana waving him back. Rossi. Beglin. Good spin. Well used. Dalglish. Marco Tardelli made it his. Neil getting rather caught. And this is Briaski. Rossi to his right. Boniek further over. Briaski loses control. And it cost him everything. Kind of an all fall down. And which way is the free kick going? It's going to Juventus because Rush was trying to hold up his man. Platini. Rush. Bit of push and pull. Rossi was the offender. Rossi has not had a good season. Hadn't managed to get on the score sheet until December. Paul Walsh shooting the ball really well. Walsh. Dalglish. Alan Hansen. And half an hour of the match has gone. No score. And that's cut out by Platini. The pace of the counter. This is Rossi. Platini wants it back. Briaski is up on the attack as well, so is Boniek. Reinforcements from behind. One of them is Cabrini, and it's his shot, and it produces a very good save by Bruce Grobbelaar. Typical Juventus break. All sorts of possibilities on. Front players taking positions, and it was laid back to Cabrini. He hit it not quite as quickly as the replay suggested, but it even so was a fine save. Nickel. Walsh didn't make it. Platini winning the ball well. And they're trying to get Walk in. The flag stays down, but the opportunity goes away. And Stefano Tacconi thought that the flag should have been raised. The linesman was absolutely level. The referee has called a halt to give a free kick. It's a lively little ball placed through, and they appeal for offside, but it was not. Whelan. Good running by Rush. Walsh is up. Nickel coming on the far side. And not a bad attempt by Ian Rush to surprise the goalkeeper, who was probably looking for the cross. Ian Rush, 26 goals this season. Puts him one behind John Walk. Favreau, an unintentional embrace with Shirea, of which Shirea certainly came off the worse. Cabrini. Favreau. Platini. Never any intention by Liverpool to put a man on Platini all the way through. It's Shirea who's got forward from Tardelli, and Neil, who read it well, coming across the back. Well left by Tardelli. Platini forwards. And Grobbelaar making it look quite comfortable. Nickel. Every Juventus player has withdrawn to a defensive position. Good play by Rush. He was being held a bit by Brio too. Walk trying to turn his man, who is Bonini. And here's Ronnie Whelan. That's a good save. But I think it got a deflection initially before the goalkeeper had to turn it over. And really did well. Whelan's shot came up off the defender near to him, and I think it's worth recording that the save was applauded at both ends of the ground. And one save by each goalkeeper. Neil's cross, Walsh, a little bit tight for him. And Rossi on the break for Platini, who finds himself one-on-one with Alan Hansen. The French captain looked pretty early for support, I think. Boniek is offside. A little surprising that, Bobby, that Platini didn't seem to want to take him on.
Well, I think he realised that he just didn't have the pace, and I think he was slightly surprised that he didn't have as good a support as he thought he should have had. Nevertheless, when it was 1 against 1 and a world-class player like Platini, you would have thought they would have at least finished with a shot at goal, but not to be. The two good chances have come from Liverpool.
Whelan. Beglin. Walsh. And here's Rossi. Comfortable dummy and got a tickle in the rib from Davish. Almost a very good ball by Briaski, or for Briaski rather. Just a slight breeze blowing from left to right as we look. See there. Straight to Platini. Walt was quick to get goal side of him and force the turn, which allowed defenders to cover better. Hansen away. Rush on the right touchline moves inside. Nicol takes his place. Horse waits in the middle. Nicol being forced away by Cabrini. And the referee looks at the linesman, and the verdict is a goal kick. Boniek. Bonini. Walsh, looking very nippy indeed. Firstly on from Dalglish. Walsh looks for Whelan, number 8. Nicol at the back. Good header by Cabrini, needed to win it. Tardelli. Brieschi, a lone figure forward for Juventus in the centre circle. And now Platini is taking a position on the right, and Boniek is going at them. Oh, what a good run! And clearly tripped by John Walk, and the yellow card quite rightly shown to John Walk. Lovely break by Boniek. Pace and control, and only denied by a foul. Seemed to show a lot of it initially to Whelan, then cut inside him, took on 2 others, got right through, and Walk had no chance of getting to the ball. It's around 38 yards out, I suppose, a bit too far for Platini. And Tardelli strikes one and is well wide. Begley, the Irishman, giving it back to Bruce Gobala. Here's the Scotsman, Alan Hansen, and another, Gillespie. Rush the Welshman. Italian ball. Five minutes of the half remaining. No score. Whelan. Neil. Hansen. Whelan starts to run forward in the inside left position. Walsh is in the inside right. And very nearly found Rush. Rush will move just too soon. There. Free kick. It's Gillespie. Bonini. Antonio Cabrini. Zbigniew Boniek. Italian triangles involving a Frenchman inevitably. Rossi. Chirea is forward in the right wing position at the moment. Tardelli just behind. Corner conceded. First that Juventus have had. Tardelli's cross out by Walk. Only to Boniek, looking to go through again. And stopped by Jim Beglin. Quick look up to see where Rush was and found him. Rush needs support though. And the captain. And almost gets Walsh in. Good play by Liverpool. And Walsh is the player down hurt. So he may well be holding the stomach. Bonini. Platini. Brieschi. At the other end of the field, Walsh has limped off. Ronnie Moran has gone round to attend to him. Platini. Won by Gillespie. Out by Nicol. Favaro. move into the last 2 minutes of the first half. Platini. The opportunity perhaps. He wants to get a bit closer. And the shot came from Boniek and was certainly fiercely struck.
Boniek is particularly fast when he breaks from midfield there. He actually that was Platini that went down, but Boniek straight onto the ball and like lightning smashes it in. Tries his best to score the goal that might break the ice a little bit as far as the Italians are concerned. But they are very, very quick, and the midfield player do support the forwards much more quickly than the Liverpool setup just at the moment.
Hansen.
Well, the first half has gone particularly well for Liverpool, because after they lost Lawrence, and I thought that they might struggle a wee bit. But nevertheless, they've kept to the job, they've marked properly, and they've controlled most of it, except for that little dash that they seem to have from in the middle of the field, usually based by Platini. And this man here, Boniek, one of the fastest players, and probably passing the ball to the best left-back that I've ever seen, Cabrini.
Platini. Outside of the boot, looking to get Cabrini in, and does. Too high for Briaski. Didn't arrive at Tardelli. Rossi. Platini. Tardelli. Chirea once more forward in attack. The referee has a check of the watch, the stadium clock indicating that time is up. Just the one statistic, a booking for John Walk. We reach half-time with the score Juventus 0, Liverpool 0.
And before we have a word about that first half, let's go to the newsroom down for an update on the proceedings there tonight from John Humphreys.
It's now about 2.5 hours since the rioting began, and Brussels police are putting the number of dead at 36. Officials in the stadium say they believe most of those are Italians, but that has not been confirmed yet by the police.
Watch from Mr. Dana. Juventus attacking the goal to our left. Chirea, the man at the back, although he got forward quite a lot during the first period. Tardelli. Bonini. With his foot in. And I noticed that Craig Johnson has come on wearing number 16, presumably in place of Paul Walsh. Just checking round, yes, in place of Paul Walsh. Craig Johnston, who was himself substituted a year ago in the European Cup final, comes on this time as a substitute. So Liverpool have used both their substitutes, and both because of injury. Lawrenson going off in the second minute to be replaced by the man we were just looking at then, Gary Gillespie. And now Paul Walsh off just, well, he was injured just before half-time and replaced at the start of the second half by Craig Johnson. It's Ian Rush. Ronnie Whelan. Johnson really had no place to go. Breeds, if anything, a little bit stronger. And into Juventus faces. Dalglish makes the forward run. This is Whelan. John Walk. Too far for him, and he pushed his man. Bonini, second time in the match he's managed to trip himself. Gillespie, it was just a clearance and nothing more. Chirea. Neil. If the timed his jump, the better. But the foot of Craig Johnson was up. Platini, always happy to get the ball, never mind the fact that he was on that occasion marked by 2 men. Bonini trying to get Rossi away. Liverpool ball. He thought he was pushed, but the referee thought otherwise. O'Neill, who has now fixed his testimonial match, start of next season, on August the 12th against Everton at Anfield. Boniek. And again Boniek. Platini. Quite often trying to play the ball through the middle, and reasonably enough, because 2 or 3 times they've looked like being successful. Don't really use too much width. Good control. Platini. Brieschi offering a bit of width. Tardelli. Rossi. Ball back by a rush for Liverpool. Beglin. An unnecessary number of passes in defence for Liverpool, but they come away with it. Beglin. Rush. Scirea to him. Pass was really intended for John Walk, but he didn't continue his run, and I don't think he would have managed to collect had he done so. Platini. And the flag is up for offside. Probably into the danger anyway. Gillespie. Hansen. Good running by Hansen, but there's no chance of collecting that. Just the occasional natural football reaction, crowd reaction. But by and large the stadium understandably and properly muted. Johnson is on the left, Rash down the middle, and 2 coming behind him. Away by Cabrini. Brieschi. Taken away by Walk. Position tidied by Neil. Good counter by Sergio Brio. Platini. Oh, a slightly surprising offside decision, I feel, against Rossi. Certainly surprised Rossi and Platini. There's Grobbelaar in time for a brief conversation. Gillespie. Walk. Rush the furthest forward for Liverpool. This is Dalglish. Hansen. A little bit surprised to receive it back. He did well to make something of it. Mistake by Brio, but no danger. Neil. Whelan. Steve Nicol. Whelan has gone on. Come to be cleared by Cabrini. Look at the weight of the pass that just dropped the ball into the path of Bonini. Tardelli. Rossi. Boniek on the right side. Found by Scirea. And he was pulled surely by Jim Beglin. Was Zbigniew Boniek. Free kick quickly taken. Boniek in possession. Looking for the return. Came to walk instead. Free kick against Dalglish. For trying to get to a ball that he'd lost. Caught the man first. Now, this is a possible position for Platini to test Bruce Grobbelaar. By Hansen. Scirea. Brio. Scirea. Hansen. Rush. Johnston. Playing rather deeper than Walsh did. And it's having its effect upon Liverpool's attacking force. What a great ball by Platini to Boniek. Between two. Tripp was he. Yes, the penalty is going to be good. Combination of Gillespie and Hansen. Boniek is all smiles. And Juventus have the penalty. And the threat at one end, one through ball by Platini, created a threat at the other. Well, the initial trip looked to be outside and looked to be against Gillespie, but the referee said penalty. And Platini will take it. And he puts Juventus in front. Goal coming in the 11th minute of the second half. And it's Juventus' first goal in a European Cup final. And this their third. Grobbelaar going the wrong way. And although the trip may arguably have been outside the box, It was a lovely pass, it was a clear opportunity which was denied by the trip. And the resultant penalty has put the attacking side into the lead. Here's Rush. Whelan, Shearer. And for the record, we have to go back to 1970 to find a side that came from behind in a match to win the European Cup, when Feyenoord of Holland did so against Celtic. Bayern Munich forced to draw in this stadium back in 1974 and then won the replay, but they didn't manage to put it right back into one match. Jagish. Shot by Whelan, which disturbs only the photographers. And the fire is at the Juventus end. This pink firecrackers going off, which has drawn the attention of the riot police, but just almost a passing note this time. Free kick given to Juventus. Boniek. Gillespie's challenge. Whelan. John Walk. Neil. And the trip by Favreau is the referee's verdict on Craig Johnston. And the disagreement between Nicol and Cabrini. And a bit of an elbow then by Tardelli. Cut out by Rossi. Hansen. Looking for Walk, but too long. And with his reflections on the goal scored by Platini from the penalty spot, Bobby Charlton.
Well, it was a marvellous piece of skill. I mean, the sheer invention of Michel Platini when he actually saw Bonnier going on his long run and he picked him out perfectly. It was a fair decision, the penalty, even though it was debatable whether it was outside or inside the box. But nevertheless, tremendous skill from one of the world's great players, if not the greatest player.
Nicol. Johnston. Dalglish. Jim Beglin. Blocked by Massimo Bonini. Dalglish a little unlucky. Griascu took it away from him. Hansen. Whelan. Darvish. Whelan. That's a well-struck shot by Jim Beglin. Produced a good save too. Nicol. Good attempt at a comeback by Liverpool. Darvish, too strong. And it would be rather in keeping with Italian style for the Juventus side to sit now on their lead. But it's to be hoped it's a policy they won't apply. Gillespie. Favreau watching Craig Johnston. Gillespie. Hansen. Beglin. Rush. Chance of a break, he was pulled, Platini. Shirt was pulled back by Jim Beglin. Nicol. Neil. Darvish. Walk starts the forward run, cutting inside a little bit of space for Ronnie Whelan. And Rush. Thought he might get something of it, but it came off the head of Brio for a Liverpool corner. Walk. Clearance by Platini. Was there a push? Yes, the referee, I think, has given the free kick. Juventus finished too low in the league championship in 6th place to qualify for the UEFA Cup next season. They are still involved in the Italian Cup, which has reached the quarter-final stage. Liverpool already assured of a continuation in Europe, in football terms at least, by finishing 2nd in our league championship. Neil. Scirea. Nicol, just across, and very well hooked away by Tardelli. Neil, his foot really couldn't have been much higher. Whelan. And again, it was Tardelli who was marking his men. Got the header away. A long ball again for Bonnier. Look at the pace, and it's matched this time by Beglin. Play by coming in fullback. Bonini. Tardelli. Boniek. Onside. It's Tardelli. Good challenge. Davish. Johnston. Faced as ever by Favreau. Goal kick. Craig Johnston, Bobby, not quite able to provide the sort of style that Paul Walsh was providing.
No, he doesn't seem to be able to get the same amount of space that Paul Walsh was enjoying in the first half, and he is short of pace, so a bit of a lost cause trying to go past his defender that time. Nevertheless, they are giving a little bit more space to Liverpool in the middle of the field, and maybe they'll be able to break something down. And a chance here, a free kick outside the 18-yard area.
Looks as though Dalglish would be interested in having a crack. He tried one in the first half, but got much too much height on it. The referee having a little difficulty in getting Bonini and Chirea back the required distance. Neil is available on the right. 3 players far behind the wall on the left and 2 close to the wall. And it's Beglin. And there was no foul in the shot. Hansen. Darvish. Neil. Bonini, Platini, forward for Briaski, has Gillespie for company, Boniek and Paolo Rossi for support, and Neil to take it away. Here's Alan Hansen. Neil. Johnston. It had to be a first time. Fairly for him, he didn't get it as he wanted. Platini has just finished as the top scorer in the Italian league, 18 this season, top scorer for the 3rd year in succession, matches the record of Gunnar Nordahl back in the early 50s. And he's still at present winning the European Cup for his side back in the early. Boniek. Side on the right. Rossi takes over. Dalglish suddenly appears. And the shot came from Briaski.
They are very quick on the break, Juventus, especially Boniek. And Briaski, the lad that fired the shot in there. Liverpool, obviously, they have to push forward the later that the game goes, trying to get this equaliser. And that will make them just that little bit more vulnerable to people like Platini and Boniek with the speed that they can counter-attack.
Rush trying to pull Brio out of the middle. Whelan has possession and is fouled. Beglin. Dalglish. Really fouls it up to Rush. John Walk. Rush with a follow-up. And what about that for a challenge? The referee has a look. Liverpool obviously feel that was a reasonable claim for a penalty. And the referee has given a throw-in. I must say that it was a very harsh challenge by Bonini. And it was in the area, albeit the ball was going in the wrong direction, but that's not what counts. Well, it certainly was a challenge from behind. The whistle has gone for a free kick indirect to Liverpool. Whelan. Craig Johnson who got the final touch to it. Hansen. It's done well. This is Nickel. Walk. Out by Shirea. Shirea the furthest forward. Time Boniek trying to be the provider. Free kick for the challenge from behind by Brio on Rush. Taken early, and anyway, Walk was offside. And all credit to Hacconi for his speed off the line. Certainly has justified his choice as number one. John Walk has had a remarkable record of goal scoring in Europe. 23 goals in his 34 games before tonight. Most of his goals, of course, for Ipswich Town. All bar 5. All collected by Giovanni Trapattoni, coach of Juventus. Johnson on the break. And the corner. Dalglish. Hansen. Gillespie, 5 waiting. And they can wait for a corner. Nickel to take. That's a very long way back. Some skill from Boniek. He's a bit disappointed that Rossi didn't collect that. Dalglish. On by Walk. Nothing to find Rush, but the flag was up anyway. He was battling. Ronnie Whelan off Bonini, his marker, for the corner. Nickel on the edge of the 6-yard area, Rush further over. Gillespie a Walk. Won by Brio. That's a good save from Ronnie Whelan. Second really good save that Stefano Tacconi has made. And Whelan denied again. Gillespie. Dalglish. Nickel. Bowing head of Sergio Brio. Under 10 minutes remaining. Liverpool, who previously had a 100% winning record in European Cup finals. And Juventus precisely the opposite. The Italians lead by the only goal scored by a Frenchman, Michel Platini, from the penalty spot in the 56 minutes of the match. It's a useful ball by Neil. Nickel, and Rush couldn't get the power in the header he wanted. Liverpool have had a lot of possession since going down and have offered a not inconsiderable threat. Nickel's cross. Rush may have lost full sight of it as it came past Brio.
Yeah, it was always said that Ian Rush's heading wasn't his greatest asset. But nevertheless, he was in a good position there, and they have started conceding a lot of midfield, have the Italians, and it is helping Liverpool to get back into the game. Fortunately for the Italians also, the goalkeeper Tacconi has had a particularly brilliant game, and 2 shots that he had from Whelan were particularly outstanding saves.
Liverpool keeping the pressure on. Dalglish. Goalkeeper's right foot very high, and very safe. Dalglish. Neil. Johnston. That was a good challenge by Favreau. Johnston very really got away with him with that bit of cheek. Walk, let it go to Whelan. Out by Shirea. Liverpool with almost total possession at the moment. Well, an attempt by the Liverpool team to come back into it. Walk once more. Nickel, blocked by Cabrini. And a free kick has been given against Briaschi for holding off Gary Gillespie. And the Italians have 3 substitutes warming up. With 6.5 minutes of showing remaining on the stadium clock. Still Platini's goal divides the teams. Corner. Shirea struggled, and Nickel with the header. I think the Italians want to make a substitution. Rossi is being replaced. Well, is he? No, Briaschi is being replaced. He decided he needed to come off. The player who's come on is Prandelli. He's the player usually brought on to just tighten things when the team are in a winning position. So it's a defensive player for an attacking one. Four and a half minutes left. Picconi doing his job well to the end. Neil. Platini, it's bobbling a bit. Even so, he managed to find the man he was looking for, Rossi. Rossi took so long. Platini perhaps was caught in 2 minds as to whether he should be going forward at this stage of the game or not. Under 4 minutes for Liverpool to hold on to the cup. Need to win it outright. Down to Platini's goal. Caesar, and is well claimed. And the free kick has been given against John Wall.
Well, Liverpool have just over 3 minutes to go, and they've been conceded everything in the middle of the field now. If they are going to score, they probably will do it by getting some crosses in, because they have been in trouble sometimes, the Italians, from a defensive point of view on crosses. They certainly won't let anyone run past them, and they've brought on the substitute specifically just to tie things up in the middle of the field and close the game down, something that the Italians are world famous for, probably the best in the world at it, so it's a difficult situation for Liverpool.
Bodiek. Most concerned about keeping possession, and he doesn't get the free kick. Beglin got a little bit of a knock. Play well, Jim Beglin. 2 minutes remaining. Italian champions leading the English champions by the only goal. And Juventus have a free kick, over which there will be no hurry. Liverpool now a minute and a half away from the failure to win a trophy in the season. And one has to go back 10 years for the last time that happened. And the Italians want to make another substitution. And the referee wants the clearance taken again, the goal kick taken again, so that Beniamino Vignola can come on in place of Paolo Rossi. Gillespie. Seconds ticking away, we're into the last 30 now. And all the noise is coming from the Juventus end. Hansen. Another to have had a fine game. And we're now playing the time that the Swiss referee has allowed for injuries and stoppages. Dalglish. Neil. He thought about the shot, and away goes Bonnier, taking on Gary Gillespie and Alan Hansen again. Neil. Well watched by Scirea. And Liverpool's run of success in European Cup finals comes to an end. Juventus create history by becoming the first side to win all three of the UEFA tournaments. The one goal in this European Cup final scored by their Frenchman Michel Platini from a fine move which he headed by scoring from the penalty spot. But this is not a night when football will be remembered. The official figures of the tragedy which occurred before a ball was kicked: 36 people killed, more than 200 injured, and 15 of them seriously.
Well, just a brief word, Graham.
It's a sad night, Jim, for everyone involved with English football. Sick for the lads and sick for Joe because it's his last game.
Terry?
Well, just on the penalty, I think that if we accept in the spirit of the game it was a penalty, which we perhaps should do, I think Liverpool can feel very unlucky because they had a certain penalty. There's no doubt about that.
Thank you very much. Well, we leave you tonight with a feeling of deep sadness and our sympathy too to those with relatives or friends who've suffered this evening. Thank you, Terry and Graham, and indeed Barry and Bobby Charlton at the stadium, coping so well in such tragic circumstances on a night when Juventus won the European Cup but football once more lost many friends. Good night.
Juventus, who won the UEFA Cup in 1977, the Cup Winners' Cup last year when they beat FC Porto, have won the biggest prize of all, the European Cup, in 1985. It goes to Italy. The team can celebrate. Football-wise, it's gone all the way for them. The black and white flags for this club from Turin, which is financed and owned by the Fiat organization, on a night of joyous celebration for them. And so, it's Juventus who have taken the European trophy. They win the cup with the final score, Juventus 1, Liverpool 0. A night of tragic celebrations, a night of terrible scenes, a night of football, a night we shall never forget. From the Heysel Stadium in Belgium, good night.
Thank you, Ger Canning. Well, after the horrible scene, some...
Now the news with John Humphreys.
But Liverpool most unlucky not to get one back there. And of course there will be controversy with Boniek brought down outside the penalty area, throwing himself into it, and then Ronnie Whelan later on brought down in the penalty area. And we haven't had confirmation yet as to what actually caused...
A watershed for our national game. And the questions will be asked.
Still around 40. Certainly there's going to be a questioning of safety standards with the wall insecure enough to be pushed down in such a large crowd with such excited conditions. Well, that's it. A night, as Ger Canning said, many will...
Destroyed much of what Liverpool, club and city hold dear, and friends of the game of football hold dear. And so the Juventus team come for the European Cup. That is sure tonight. What is sure tonight is it won't be remembered as Juventus' Cup, even though it's the first time they've won it. It'll be remembered as the night on which football madness, still flickering in the ground, scored one of its most distasteful triumphs. The politicians, the administrators are saying it must not, it will not happen again. But the rabble who flock to see their heroes, if they are their heroes, must be sorted out and never allowed into a football ground again. And that's all been said before. The players, I gather, wanted to play the game. There must also have been a very strong judgment to be made by the authorities of what might have happened if they'd called it off. If those thousands of people, taught with emotion, had been unleashed onto the streets of Brussels. But now there is some release of a kind. But when will there be the effective answers to what has happened tonight? There's almost a no-go area on that terrace. One has seen these so-called fans taunting and jibing and throwing bricks at the riot police of Brussels, and they haven't been taken on. The striped shirts of Juventus are those in your picture. The Italian champions. The European Cup has avoided them until tonight. Lots of things avoided them until tonight. And there's no sign of the red shirts of Liverpool. And with the European Cup, there was very severe doubt whether the traditional ride round Liverpool of returning heroes would have gone ahead. But that's all conjecture now. A lap of honour before the trophy is accepted. A lap of honour before the fans who just a couple of hours ago had been standing watching the dead carried away under tarpaulins and national flags of Italy. So the questions again will be asked, were there any winners tonight? There'll be few who believe the game can survive if there are no effective answers soon to what's been seen. Tomorrow the inquest will begin here in Britain, in the offices of the administrators of the game in Europe. The blame will start to be apportioned, the solutions aired. Already there's conjecture that we may have seen the last British presence in Europe for a number of years if a tough line is taken, if the British element in the crowd is seen to be guilty, if the finger points at them. Not a uniform in sight.